Thomas Creech holds the distinction of being the longest-serving inmate on death row within the state of Idaho. His tenure under a death sentence spans several decades, marking a significant period in the state's capital punishment history. He was recently scheduled for a second attempt at lethal injection. This followed a previous unsuccessful execution procedure earlier in the year. The scheduled date for the second execution attempt was set for November 13th. Preparations were underway for this date. However, a federal district court intervened. The court granted a stay of execution for Mr. Creech. This stay was formally granted on November 6th. The court order halted the planned execution just days before its scheduled date. The stated purpose of the stay was to allow more time for the court to consider legal claims raised by Mr. Creech's defense team. These claims pertain to the constitutionality and legality of a second execution attempt. As a direct result of the federal court's order, all execution preparations were suspended. The state was required to cease its activities related to the planned lethal injection. With the execution stayed past its scheduled date, the execution warrant will expire. A new warrant would be required for any future execution attempt, subject to the resolution of the ongoing legal challenges. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. The first attempt to execute Thomas Creech took place on February 28th of the same year. This event drew significant attention due to its outcome. During this attempt, the execution team encountered significant difficulties. They tried 8 separate times to establish an intravenous line necessary for administering the lethal drugs. These attempts were made in various locations on Mr. Creech's body. The team targeted veins in his hands, feet, and legs. Despite multiple efforts, veins collapsed each time the team attempted insertion. This prevented the successful placement of an IV line. The entire process of attempting to set the IV line lasted for over an hour. This extended duration highlighted the difficulties faced by the execution team. Ultimately, after the prolonged and unsuccessful attempts, the execution was called off. The state was unable to proceed with the lethal injection. This failed attempt marked a significant moment in Idaho's history. It was the first execution attempt in the state in 12 years, ending a long period without capital punishment procedures. Mr. Creech's attorneys had previously issued warnings regarding potential difficulties. They cited his age, 74 at the time, and existing medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, and edema, which could affect his veins. Following the botched attempt, reports indicated that Mr. Creech suffered significant mental health issues. These issues were attributed to the trauma experienced during the prolonged and unsuccessful procedure. Following the state's decision to schedule a second execution, Mr. Creech's attorneys mounted new legal challenges. These challenges are central to the current stay. One primary argument raised by the defense is that a second execution attempt constitutes double jeopardy. They contend that the first attempt, though unsuccessful, initiated the process, and a second attempt would violate constitutional protections against being tried or punished twice for the same offense. Attorneys also argue that a second attempt constitutes cruel and unusual punishment. This argument falls under the 8th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The basis for the cruel and unusual punishment argument rests on several factors. These include the trauma inflicted by the botched first attempt and Mr. Creech's declining health status. Further allegations were made regarding prosecutorial misconduct. The defense claims this occurred during the clemency hearing held in February, before the first execution attempt. Specifically, the defense claims prosecutors misrepresented evidence. They allege a photograph of a sock was presented in a manner suggesting it was the murder weapon in one of Mr. Creech's past convictions. Another claim of misconduct involves statements made by prosecutors. The defense alleges prosecutors stated Mr. Creech murdered Daniel Walker in California, a crime for which he was not charged or convicted. Both state and federal claims were filed by the defense team. These filings specifically address the issues of double jeopardy and cruel and unusual punishment in the context of a second execution attempt. In the federal case, the initially assigned judge recused himself. This decision was made due to a friendship with one of the prosecutors involved in the case. a replacement judge was subsequently appointed to oversee the federal proceedings. Judge G. Murray Snow took over the case to consider the complex legal arguments presented. Judge Snow indicated the basis for granting the stay of execution. He cited the delay in receiving a ruling from the state court on related matters and the necessity for the federal court to fully consider the significant legal claims raised by the defense. Despite the ongoing legal challenges and the failed first attempt, the state of Idaho proceeded with scheduling a second execution for Thomas Creech. This decision signaled the state's intent to carry out the death sentence. In preparation for the second attempt, the state amended its execution protocol. These changes were reportedly made to address the issues encountered in February. The amended protocol specifically allows for more invasive IV procedures. This includes accessing larger veins, potentially in areas like the neck or groin, if peripheral veins are not accessible. The state also invested significant resources in preparing for the second execution. Over $300,000 was reportedly spent on constructing a new execution preparation room designed to facilitate the procedure. Further financial expenditure was made to acquire the necessary substances. The state spent an additional $100,000 to purchase lethal injection drugs specifically for the new attempt.